Welcome back to GA Fan TV. Kilmacud Crokes are through to the Dublin Senior Football Championship final. They've beaten Thomas Davis by a scoreline of 12 points to 1-3. A 6-point win in the end for the reigning Dublin Senior Football Champions. And look, it was a tough test in the end for Kilmacud Crokes. It was certainly a hard-earned win. I definitely don't think Kilmacud Crokes were pushed to the pin of their collar as much as Coola did a couple of weeks ago. But I think we all very much knew that Crokes were massive, massive favourites coming into this game, even with the loss of Paul Mannion, even with Paul Mannion not featuring in this game through injury. Shane Walsh, once again, outstanding. But I think, first of all, for Kilmacud Crokes, once again, a bit of adversity, a bit of a struggle to begin with in this game, conceding 1-1 early on. Fionn Murray getting the early goal. Kilmacud Crokes look a little bit rattled in the opening sort of stages, the opening 5 to 10 minutes. But, once they sort of built up a bit of rhythm, built up a bit of speed, they were outstanding. They hit 8 points without reply after that. And really from there, Thomas Davis were just, playing guesswork. They were trying to catch up to the levels of Kilmacud Crokes. I mean, Crokes were doing an almighty squeeze on Thomas Davis's kickouts, turning them over time and time again. Even when Thomas Davis were getting their kickouts right, there was a man in the right place at the right time for Kilmacud Crokes to turn it over, whether it have been Craig Diaz, Rory O'Carroll, you had Shane Walsh, Darren Mullen, and even Shane Cunningham tracking back as well, getting a lot of big tackles in to turn the ball over. It was way too tough for Thomas Davis, really, to turn it away from there. But this is the match reaction. If you could smash the like button and subscribe, if you haven't already, it would be much appreciated. Plenty more match reactions coming out for a lot of the club games now over the next couple of weeks, with the fact that we are moving into deep territory now in various club championships, and the Dublin Senior Final is going to be an absolute cracking one. Make no mistake about that. But as I was saying, running through some of the key moments in the game, Thomas Davis started the brighter. Fionn Murray gets that early goal. They get an early score to go with it as well. 1-1 up, 4 points up in the early couple of minutes. And, Thomas Davis started like a house on fire. They were putting heavy challenges in. They were really, really up for it. You could tell from watching the game, the atmosphere was very good. Probably the vast majority of Thomas Davis fans maybe at the game, really, really urging their team on. And Davis were getting into a couple of good positions, a couple of balls dropping short from frees, causing a couple of problems, hit the post in one instance as well. And Crokes just took a couple of minutes to get settled. But you felt like with this team, with their quality, once they start to get a couple of scores on the board, once they settle down, it's going to be very, very difficult. And that was what happened. Kilmacud Crokes at 8 points without reply. Dan O'Brien hit a brilliant point from play. Shane Cunningham was getting in on the act. Shane Walsh was just having a bit of an exhibition. He must have took over. It was his own game for about 10 minutes because he'd 4 frees without reply. Some of them I felt were a little bit soft, to be fair. I felt the referee maybe at times could have let it flow a little bit more than he did. It was very stop-start, I felt, in the first half. I mean, Shane Walsh hit, 5 points in total in the first half off from frees. And some of them I felt were just a little bit soft. But I think that was the problem for Thomas Davis, was that they were obviously conceding possession from their own kickouts. They were losing the ball. And then that little bit of indiscipline. Some of them were soft, as I said before, but at the same time, you're giving the referee a decision to make. And the problem with Kilmacud Crokes, that you probably won't get what a lot of other teams in Dublin and probably even in the country, is that Kilmacud Crokes have a player who can score frees from almost anywhere on the field, going up to 65 yards, 50, 60 yards. He's that good. He's obviously not going to be taking opportunities on from 50, 60 yards, but if he needs to, he probably could do so. We're talking about one of the best free takers in the country. And I mean, he's outstanding, isn't he, at different times? And when you're giving him opportunities, giving him chances to put the ball over, he's not going to miss too often. I think he'd 1 or 2 wides in the game in total, but generally he was absolutely brilliant. 8 points in total, one of which from play as well. 7 frees in total in the game. And that really did set the standard very high. Crokes at 8 points without reply. It was a long way back from there. Even though, they were, at that stage, 5 points down. But Crokes were just comfortable in possession then. And you could see Thomas Davis with how they were setting up. A lot of men behind the ball, trying to play a running game. Davis obviously don't have the scores to be kicking from 30, 40 yards or 20 yards. They don't have too many natural, talented scorers, in my opinion, at least from distance. So they were trying to play a running game. They were trying to create goal chances. But it just wasn't working. And the more the game went on, the more they ran out of energy. And Crokes just really controlled possession from there. Keane O'Connor comes off the bench. He gets a score as well. And Crokes from there were very, very comfortable. Ryan Deegan gets sent off for Thomas Davis. And I think the game was probably beyond at that point anyways. But he obviously gets sent off, and I think that very much was the final nail in the coffin. Davy Keogh with a very good point, to be fair, for Thomas Davis in the second half. Thomas Davis's only point in the second half, actually, as a matter of fact. It was a lovely score. It was a great run. But it was probably the only moment of real good or significance from Thomas Davis in that second half. But look, they're probably coming up against the All-Ireland favourites, probably the best team in the country. They're certainly my pick for the Dublin Championship and my pick for the All-Ireland at this moment in time. I think they have a serious amount of quality, and a 6-point defeat to, one of the best club teams in the country. I don't think it's not the worst result in the world. It's in the semi-finals. It's one of those results, unfortunately, that happens. And even without Paul Mannion, Kilmacud Crokes are an absolute force. And even if he was, let's say, he should be back in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, but even if he was ruled out long term, you'd still back Kilmacud Crokes because of the fact they now have Walsh in there. And they've just got so much talent all around the field. They really, really do. Rory says, with the likes of Owen Merchant, of Nafina, could cause Crokes problems with those breaking runs. Look, it's going to be a very, very interesting Dublin Senior Football Championship final. Make no mistake about that. Nafina yesterday were outstanding defensively. They were really, really good. And, Ballybowden looked toothless for large parts of the game. They didn't get their first point until, injury time of the first half. So, Ballybowden were quite poor, I felt, but Nafina were very, very good. And Conor McHugh, I thought, was excellent. They were just really, really up for the game, sharper, quicker, better in most areas of the pitch, and causing a lot of turnovers as well. Look, it's going to be a very, very interesting game. That final, it's going to be very interesting. Crokes will certainly be the favourites, but you could see Nafina certainly causing a couple of issues for Kilmacud Crokes, as Rory was saying there. Owen Merchant's veteran runs. Conor McHugh's been in excellent form. David Lacey, Brian O'Leary's looked very good as well. So, and Johnny Cooper, whilst I've often given him stick at times in this channel, I thought he was excellent yesterday as well. So, it's going to be very interesting, that final. You would fancy Kilmacud Crokes, but Nafina are very good. They're a very good side, and they might even be Kilmacud Crokes' toughest test, potentially until an All-Ireland semi-final, or possibly even beyond. I think it's going to be very, very intriguing final nonetheless. But let me know your thoughts on this game in the comments down below. There will be a live show out later tonight, 9 o'clock, with Seamus Brady of Play On GA. We'll be running through all the weekend's big talking points from the club championships, looking at results from the Mayo Club Championship, looking at some results in Roscommon, Derry, and beyond. They obviously had a big win for Castlebar Mitchells earlier. Did a reaction to that already if you haven't seen it. And at the time of recording, Ballintubber in front against Brafey at the minute there by a couple of points. So big result potentially for them as well. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all at 9 o'clock later.